It's been quoted that trust takes years to build, seconds to destroy, and a lifetime to repair. Trust is clearly an important part of our lives. To determine whether we can trust the biblical account, let's observe some facts. Out of all of the manuscripts discovered that either support or are direct copies of the original biblical documents, we have 5,000 Greek, 10,000 Latin, and 9,000 written in other various languages. Now, this is totaling over 24,000 manuscripts, many of which are written from between 100 and 300 years after the originals. One misconception about modern translations of the Bible is that they've lost their accuracy by being copied over time. And this just doesn't reflect reality. Each translation is taken from the earliest available manuscripts of the originals, which, as we stated earlier, range from between 100 to 300 years after the originals were written. Furthermore, keep in mind that a select number of these earlier manuscripts could have been copied directly from the originals. Therefore, we can know with certainty that the translations that we have today are an accurate and correct representation of the original works. Now, when we compare the biblical manuscripts with manuscripts from secular writers, such as Caesar and Tacitus and Plato, we see that there are far fewer copies with much larger age gaps between the originals and those copies. For instance, from Caesar, we have 10 copies of his original works, with a 1,000-year gap between the originals and those copies. For Tacitus, we have 20 copies of his original works, with 1,000 years between the originals and those copies. And then finally for Plato, we have only 7 copies of his original works, with a staggering 1,200-year gap between the originals and those copies. The number of manuscripts discovered that support Scripture is only scratching the surface. Within the contents of Scripture, we also see revelations of scientific fact, which were made years before modern scientists discovered these things. Some of them are sea currents, or air having a weight to it. In archaeology, we see standing stones, tablets, and manuscripts from other cultures around the world which support the biblical narratives. The Bible is the most printed document in circulation in all history, with over 2.5 billion copies printed just between 1815 and 1975. But more modern estimates put the real number at closer to 5 billion. With this many copies in circulation, there's no question that the Bible has authority, that people trust the Bible, and that it has high demand. This and other evidences points toward a document that, in big bold letters, declares truth. For whatever was written in earlier times was written for our instruction, so that through perseverance and encouragement of the Scriptures, we might have hope. The Bible was not written to break world records for most copies over a period of time. It was written for our benefit, and so that we could understand things in this world and live a spiritual life to serve God. My hope is that knowing a few facts about the Bible and how it presents itself as trustworthy will encourage you to do your own research. Compare the historical and the archaeological findings that prove the Scripture true. It is one thing to believe that Scripture is true. It's an entirely different thing to accept the truths that are contained within it. We must be willing to accept the truth which has been presented to us.